Studies, Autonomous, Chittoor. I welcome all the participants and delegates. First of all, I would like to welcome our beloved principal, Dr. Ramesh Kumar Garu, and I welcome IQC coordinator, Dr. D. Jagdishan, and I welcome all the members of IQAC and the key person, Dr. Abhirami Devi Sivakumar. I welcome ma'am. And last but not least, I welcome all the participants who have registered and very interestingly waiting for this webinar on contemporary learning and teaching strategies to facilitate higher order thinking post COVID-19. I welcome all of you. Next, I request our beloved principal to render his presidential address.
Thank you, Dr. Vijay Kumar. Good evening to all of you. I'm Dr. Ramesh Kumar, Principal, Srinivas Institute of Technology Management Studies. On behalf of the management, I welcome Dr. Abhirami Devi Sivakumar Garu for accepting her speech for the webinar on the topic Contemporary Learning and Teaching Strategies to Facilitate Higher Order Thinking Post COVID-19. So whenever we think COVID-19 or Corona, whatever we think, even earlier also, long back, we were discussing with my friends. So in future, it is going to come just like we now were racing for anything for years, BC, AC, before Christ, after Christ. Similarly, here also we had to think something like before COVID and after COVID. So the things are happening like that. Even today, there are a number of cases recording and it's increasing day by day. And there is no end for this one. In the future, we're not finding any end for this one. We don't know how many days it will continue like this. So because of this one, even parents, all these people are afraid of sending their words to the higher education, it may be higher education or lower education, whatever be, to the schools, colleges, because of definitely there will be a group of students and who will be having that corona with unknowingly, so it may spread to all the people. So, but at the same time, we cannot leave the education like that. So we cannot just like crop holiday, we cannot declare holidays for this one. So still something we need to do to make the students in touch with education. Otherwise, students will become lazy, so that again they will not come back for learning. So some strategies we had to follow to keep the students in the studies and all these things. So this is a wonderful topic that we are going to discuss about this one. So some useful points may help the government also to follow this one. So I had to thank the organizers for arranging this type of a webinar with actually what we can say. So it is the really required topic. So even governments are also thinking how to do all these things in future. So some important points may get in this session, so that it may be helpful to the government also to follow this one. So once again, I had to thank Dr. Abhirami Devi Garu for accepting to give webinar at this one, and also I am thanking my team for organizing this one. Thank you, and I wish all participants a good day. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So next I invite Dr. D. Jagadishan, who is the key motivating us to have these kind of activities. I welcome Dr. D. Jagadishan, coordinator IQAC, to render his speech.
Good afternoon to one and all. First, I thank to our management, principal sir, for giving and supporting or conducting this type of webinars and FDBs. So generally, as a teacher, as a student, we want to learn more things every day. But now we can't assemble in one place and learn everything is not possible. So due to Corona. So, but we can't stop everything. We want to learn more through some way. So that's why we are organizing different types of seminars, workshops, and FDPs in SITAMS, Senior Institute of Technology and Management Technologies, Chittoor. So first I thank to Dr. Abhirami Devi Sivakumar for accepting our request for come to here and give the seminar on contemporary learning and teaching strategies to facilitate higher order thinking post COVID-19. And also thank to our convener Dr. S. Vijay Kumar for arranging this webinar. And I thank to IQC members for cooperating for conducting this webinar. And finally, so participants, I think all I hope to enjoy today's sessions. Thank you, one and all.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir, for your motivation. And I request our IQAC member or colleague, Dr. Geetavani Madam, to introduce the chief guest to the participants.
Thank you, sir. On behalf of SITAMS, it's my pleasure to introduce our resource person, Dr. Abhirami Devi Sivakumar. She completed her MCOM in 1995 from University of Madras. She got MPhil degree in 1998 from Madurai Kamaraj University. She received PhD degree in 2004 from University of Madras. She published papers in Journal of Management and Science, Journal of Mobile Computing and Application, International Journal of Arts and Commerce, etc. Her areas of expertise are accountancy and finance. Presently, she is a chairperson in Department Quality Committee. She is a member of Financial Management Association, US, and mentor for Charlie Blair Foundation for Women, UK. She is a trainer for Stephen Conway Community, US. She delivered more than 25 speeches all over the globe. She has written a book, E-Commerce, from publishers of Margam Publishers. I feel immense pleasure to request our resource person. Word to you, ma'am. Thank you for accepting this invitation. Word to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much. My heartfelt thanks to Srinivasa Institute of Technology and Management Studies. My heartfelt thanks to Dr. Vijay Kumar, Dr. Jagdishan, and to the principal, Dr. Ramesh. It's my pleasure for putting me on this platform, and thanks to the technology as well. I know as academicians, we are just updating every minute, every second, because we know the significance of learning and we know the significance of teaching. So my presentation for today is on the topic, the need of the hour. So I would like to start with my presentation. I'm just sharing my presentation to you first. So we start with my presentation on contemporary teaching and learning strategies post-COVID. So I know it's a challenge for all the faculty members. And, like when we see the students, we know how our students behave and how our students work. So, but when we don't see them, how does it work? When we don't see them, what do we do? So this is where we have to just start working on many, many important things. We have to prepare ourselves. So how are we going to prepare? This is key. And when we have to consider there are many things that we have to consider. So to start with, I'm just starting with key points about our own classrooms. How do we look at our classrooms? Can you tell me how we look at our classrooms? When we talk about classrooms, before starting, I want to ask you, how do you look at your classroom? How do you dream your classroom? You have a vision about your classroom, right? We're not teachers just because we did not get a job. We're teachers because we want to have a passionate profession. I'm very, very proud to say that I'm doing one of the most important jobs on the earth, a teacher job, a professor's job, molding thousands and thousands of minds. So I take pride in doing my profession. I feel blessed. I thank God because I know that there is no better job in this world that I could do. So if you are a teacher with the same feeling, just think about your own class. What is your vision about your class? What do you think your class should be? When you feel, that you have a classroom, and when you look at your classroom, what do you think and what do you feel? You see yourself in the middle of the classroom, right? You're the center of attraction. Yes or no? As teacher, we take the stage. All of us would like to take the stage. Yeah, we are very good in taking the stage. We want to take this stage, and we always feel that we are good when we are on the stage. So how we are going to look at our classrooms? Can you see my slide, all of you? So I hope.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. It is visible, ma'am. You continue, please.
Thank you so much. So I dream my class like this. I'm in the center. I ask my students to stay calm. I tell them don't make noise, and I tell them listen to what I say. And I start with the definition. I say today's class and the objective, and then you can see some of the students in the front row a bit tired and sleeping. So what are we going to do in a COVID classroom, in a technology-based classroom, and an online class? I'm sure, some of you must be also doing that. So switch on the computer. Anyway, the teacher is not going to see you. So switch on the computer, put the, if there is an attendance, answer the attendance. If there is a feedback form, just fill the feedback form. And don't give your ears, just do what you really want to do. Think of what all you can do in that time, because we don't waste time, isn't it? So how proactively we can use our time, that's what people do. So the main challenge here is we have to plan our classes. We have to get ourselves tuned to technology-based classrooms. So here today, I'm going to talk to you about how we can formulate our strategies. What's that we are going to focus on? Because the focus has to be changed. It's no more teacher-oriented classroom. It's no more Gurukul, where the Guru takes all the place and the students are given whatever the Guru knows or Guru wants to give. So this is not going to help. So focus has to change. There has to be a paradigm shift from teacher focus to student focus. So I will be talking on those lines today. And then I'll also be talking to you about what are the strategies that you should follow, how you should prepare yourself before your classes, and what you have to do, what you have to perform during the class, and what should you practice. So there is going to be a change. The new normalcy is this. So you will see your teacher, or you may hear your teacher or your teacher's podcast, right? So as a student, how you're going to be attentive. That's the challenge, how you're going to keep your interest. I remember some of my teachers because of the way they taught me. I remember the subjects till today. What I was taught in grade 3, grade 2, grade 4, I still remember at this age. That's because of my teachers. So as teachers, how are we going to bring in change in our students' life? So that's a big question mark with which we are starting the presentation today. Right, welcome to the reality. So how are we going to formulate the new teaching and learning strategy? See, we always think we have to do something. No, let's start doing something. Let's prepare and stay back and set back one step behind. I am not asking you to come forward, because I know as teachers, we always come forward and we always help our students. We don't even wait for them to ask us a question. We want to give them everything that they want and everything that they don't want. Everything that we want to give, we give. We don't even think, we don't even check whether they want it. So this is where I'm asking you to step back, just move back a second and let your students take the lead. So how would you formulate your teaching and learning environment? How are you going to design your classrooms? Very simple techniques we will follow so that your classrooms will be very effective. I'm not even going into covering the syllabus or anything. This is even before that, before today's classroom starts, before today's session starts. What am I supposed to do? I'm going to stretch and challenge my students. When I say challenge, it's not like I'm not asking you to challenge the student. I'm not asking you to give him a difficult exam or something like that. But I'm telling you, increase the complexity. Because I'm not talking about difficulty in terms of assessments. I'm talking to you about complexity in the nature of the course that you are teaching. Increase the complexity. I will talk to you about it in depth a little later, but stretch and challenge your students. Let them stretch, let them come out of their chairs, let them move out, let them move and wander around to get all the information about the topic. So this is how we are going to start our classes. We are not going to give them anything, but we are going to introduce a concept to them and we are going to let them explore. Many of you have registered for the course. Yesterday, when I spoke to a couple of the faculty members, Dr. Jagadish and Dr. S. Vijaykumar, they told me that there are so many participants who have registered, more than 300 number of participants have registered, and it's going to be a nice program. So my question to the participants, you register for the program. What kind of preparations did you do before coming to this webinar? How many of you Googled the topic? How many of you Googled the speaker? I know sometimes, I have this habit of Googling my speakers. Before attending a workshop, I try to Google whom session I'm going to listen to, what kind of a person he or she is, what is her expertise, right? Because after seeing the person's expertise, I feel more confident, or I decide not to attend either this way or that way. So did you do your research before coming to this webinar? Now, this is where you have to start preparing. So it's not just the certificate that matters. It's not just attending the session that's matter. When you know that you're going to teach a particular topic, yeah, you prepare. But when you are going to attend a topic, you don't prepare, yeah? So the same attitude is there in most of our students. I'm not saying all of you are doing this. I know some of you Google, some of you search, and some of you might have come prepared for today's class, today's webinar. 1 hour and 30 minutes or 1 hour and 40 minutes or 1 hour and 15 minutes or 1 hour. You're going to just sit and listen to a particular topic, and you know how important it is, because you're moving from one paradigm to another paradigm. Your normalcy is no more normalcy. Your normalcy is new normalcy. You are living in a very different era. What do I say? A contingency plan is always required. We have heard it, but today we are doing it. We have a lot of contingency plans today because your classes are online, your students are assessed online. You do not know. By looking at their eyes, you can just say, yes, my students have understood. Sometimes my students used to give me a grin look. Then I know that she did not understand. And I used to explain it in different words. Then I look at her eyes and then I say, oh yeah, now her eyes are not angry. She can, express her understanding of the subject matter with her eyes. So this helps me, but now it's not going to help you anymore. So you have to be really prepared in testing the students. So keep yourself challenged and challenge your students. Let them stretch a bit, let them come out of their comfort zones. So let the students formulate their own questions. Tell them the syllabus. I know you have the NAC accreditation and it's asking you to prepare various documents such as syllabus and student learning outcome and educational outcomes and course learning outcomes and the course specifications, and course reports, yeah. So you're preparing so many documents. So you are very, very well prepared. So give a part of it to your student also. Give the students a syllabus for this week or this term. Let them come prepared for the class. So let them prompt them to ask their own questions, inquiry-based teaching. Inquiry-based teaching. Nobody is going to come and ask you, why are you not teaching? But let the students come out with their ideas. Give them some time, and then in the particular day's class, ask them the questions and ask them, what kind of questions did you ask to yourself on a particular topic? Let them come out with their questions so that you know what kind of questions they have in their mind about this particular topic or this particular content or this subject itself. And allow multiple interpretations and expressions of learning. Do not start teaching immediately, right? Let's have multiple intelligence. What is multiple intelligence? We always say many heads are better than one head. But in other way, we say too many cooks spoil the broth. So both the sides, you have to balance it. You cannot let your classes go untaught, but at the same time, you have to involve your students. So multiple interpretation of the concepts, multiple expressions of what they have learned is going to form a base for you. So we always have a set of things that we want to share with our students. But if our student has Googled and the Google God has given them some other information, how are you going to handle it? How are you going to check whether your student has prepared what you have prepared? Sometimes you may have to do the extra bit. The extra mile always helps you. So you also have to prepare from various sources. You can't just stick to one source, because earlier we used to teach the book, and after a period we said, oh no, teaching from the book is not allowed. We said that let's teach something additional to the book. So first we teach the book and then we bring the additional material. But now I'm saying additional websites, additional sources, additional resources, and every class is going to be a research-based class. I know, I can understand the same feeling. I go through the same. I share the boat with you. It's tough, it's challenging, but we cannot change our profession for this challenge because we love to be teachers. We love to be heard, and we love our herds as well. Our students have the same psychology as we do have. So let's increase multiple intelligence in classes. So we will allow them to speak. We used to say, don't ask questions, just wait for me to finish. I'm sure many of us have this habit. If some student is asking you a particular question, you say, wait until I finish. Can't you wait till the class is over? Don't we say that? No. Now I think first we have to hear them. First we have to understand what they are saying. We have to listen to them. We have to tell them whether they are right or wrong, for which we should know the answers. So our preparation is going to double up. So when we do a little more of preparation, I'm sure we can encourage multiple intelligence in our classrooms. And then comes collaborative learning. I'm bringing three concepts here together, okay? I'm going to talk to you about collaborative learning. For collaborative learning, actually, there are three things required. One, yes, of course, you all know, it's in understanding and communicating. So communication in the right way. And the next one is independent learning. I learn well, I prepare well, and then I come to the class. So independent learning has to go on. And then comes feedback within the group. So every class should have multiple groups. You cannot put the whole class in one group. And sometimes when we are teaching online, I'm sure the college might give you more than 20, 25, 40, 50 students, because you have the facility now. You're online and you can, add any number of students, because the students are not going to make any noise. They're not going to throw any tantrum. Your classroom is yours. So visualize a classroom with 50, 60, 100 students. Some of our faculty members now are teaching 100 students at one stretch. So how are we going to test them? What are we going to do? How are we going to bring in collaborative learning? So as I told you, three components: communication, independent learning, and feedback among the group helps them to be very good in collaborative learning, in learning together as a team, as a group, as a peer group. So what we do is, while we are teaching in LMS, we use Blackboard LMS, Learning Management System. And you know what we do? We put the girls in groups. And I shift from one group to another group. And I see how they discuss among each other. So I'm not teaching. I'm starting my class. I've formulated my class with a case. I start with a case. Or I start my class with a rhetorical question. I allow them to think. I allow them to discuss in different groups. What one group is discussing will not be heard to another group. So what I do, I move from one group to another group. Supposedly I have 10 groups in my class. I move from 1 to group 10 and I come back and I keep checking how they are preparing, how they are consulting, how they are sharing knowledge. And then I allow them to bring out what they have learned and what is the feedback, so that they are feeling comfortable and they are feeling confident about the topic, and then I add on. So this is how we have to stretch and challenge our classes. Even before they could think of what's happening, you have to challenge them. Now, to start with Albert Einstein's quote, education is not the learning of facts, but the training of minds to think. We have to make them think. We have been feeding them. We have been giving them what they have to know, but now train their minds to pick and choose the right thing and leave the wrong thing. So once again, I'm reading the quotes of Albert Einstein. Education is not the learning of facts, but the training of minds to think. So let's think with our students. So I'm coming back to the classrooms. When I'm talking to you about how we are going to formulate, I have two important concepts that I want to talk to you about. The first concept that I want to talk to you about is objectives and outcomes, is the second part of my talk. So what is an objective? We all have different objectives in life, but when it comes to subject, when it comes to classroom, our objective is the same: sharing knowledge, gaining knowledge. I know some teachers might feel offended when I say gaining knowledge. I'm not saying about students gaining knowledge. I'm talking about faculty members gaining knowledge. And that's knowledge sharing all about. Sharing is not just giving. Sharing is giving and taking. Let's learn to take from our students. It might be difficult at the beginning. You may think your students know nothing. Sometimes we always have this, no? This in our mind. We think, my student, they know nothing. But that's not right. Our students know, and our students are really good. So let's allow our students to share. As I started my session today, let's allow our students to share their thought process. And then, based on that, you will take over and you will complete your objective. So what is your objective? So you have various goals. You have purpose for the class and you have an intention of what you want to give your students. So the first thing that you're going to talk about is, you're going to talk about what my student will understand, what I want to give my students. So first of all, definition, of course, he is very good at making him understand the application part of it. Fantastic, right? We always think of these two things, but a little later, we are going to talk about Bloom's taxonomy. And today I will also introduce to you another thing, which is called as solar taxonomy. So what we are going to discuss now is the level of difficulty and complexity with which you're going to mold your class, with which you're going to design your objectives. Complexity is very important. Difficulty is least important. Difficulty is like how difficult it is for the student. Complexity is how the student has to put in efforts, gain knowledge to address, to understand a particular concept. And that's the most important thing. So challenging my student is not my objective, not the faculty members' objective. We are surrogate parents, right? We have that love for our students. We love our students. We give everything for them, right? So the same way, now we have to understand, we don't want to challenge them on a different ground, but we want to challenge them on how they can improvise their understanding. Their complexity is how much knowledge has to be gained to answer a particular question. I have asked him a question, or he himself has brought a question. So how many hours of efforts are required for him or her to address this question? Based on that, you have to frame your objectives. How many credits are we giving? There is credit for every course that they are learning, isn't it? So for this course, what is the credit? So how much should I teach? How much should my student work? How much knowledge has to be gained by him so that he can skillfully apply all that he has learned in the classroom in the industry? Because we test it in the industry. Our cakes are good when it's sold in the best shop. We have this, right? So let's talk about increasing complexity of all the objectives that we are framing based on the number of hours of output, number of hours of research, number of books and websites to be referred by our students to address one question of yours. So you have to be prepared. You cannot easily ask a question. If you ask an easy question, he's going to give you or she's going to give you a very simple answer. So it's not about your students' work, but it's also about the number of hours of input that you have given into every hour of your teaching. I would say every minute of your teaching, because I want to give you something new. I do not want to give you something you already have. Yeah, and I want you to think more and more about it. So that's complexity. So I leave it to you to think more about complexity. I want you to, what do I say? I want you to get synced into complexity. Let it get into your blood so that you understand and you deliver it in your classrooms. So the next thing that I would like to talk to you about is our outcomes. Yes, this is where we are going to talk about higher level thinking skills. Very important. If I teach my student what is a concept and give him or her the fundamental knowledge, it's not sufficient. It's not higher level thinking skills. Higher order thinking is about application, about analysis, about synthesizing what you have taught, synthesizing it outside in the industry, in their day-to-day life, application and communication, informing, talking about your concept in real life. You are teaching a beautiful concept, okay? Let's take any economic concept, because I think it's easy to talk about economics. So let's talk about economics. FDI and FII. I will not teach my student what is FDI. I will not teach to my students what is FII. But I will tell my students, because if I ask them, they will say, Miss, we know the definition. Yeah, fantastic, you know the definition. But I used to give a challenging, I used to make it interesting for the student so that the student comes out with more information on what is an FDI and what is an FII and what happens to the economy when there is an FDI being pulled out or an FII being withdrawn. So I tell my students like this, I tell them next week we are going to talk about FDIs and FIIs. And I tell them, yes, is there a question? I can see somebody raising hands. I think is there a question?
Ma'am, you please continue, ma'am. Question answers, we will keep it at the last.
Okay, I can see somebody raising hands. Thank you.
Maybe accidentally.
So, okay. Thank you so much. So moving on to the example again, I would like to tell my student FDI and FII is our topic for next week. And I tell them one is like a wife and another one is like a girlfriend. And to my girl students, I tell them one is like getting married and another one is like having a boyfriend. That's it. And I don't give them anything further. And then I tell them go explore and come back to the class. Now they may think, what is the relevance between these two? One is economics, which is FDI, which is a very serious topic, and FII, which has a greater impact on Indian economy. Now, what is she saying? She's talking about having a girlfriend and having a wife or a marriage or something like that. What is the context? Is the teacher out of mind? Fine. I'm fine. But I'm just increasing the curiosity of my students so that they go back and then they explore and come prepared for my class. Now they will think, they will try to think and they will try to synthesize. Why did she use this word? Why did she say so? She did not just explain to us. She did not tell us what is FDI. She did not tell us what is foreign direct investment all about, who is a foreign institutional investor. She did not say, but she said a marriage and girlfriend. So marriage and boyfriend, what is this? So now they will start thinking, and I'm just giving you a silly example. I'm sorry for giving you the silly example, but just to increase the interest in the young minds, I'm just saying this example, okay? So what I do, I allow them to think and then they come back. It has an impact on their competencies. Immediately you will see the students going and coming back to you. They come back and demonstrate and then they explain to me in the classroom with all their classmates in the online. They come and they say, Miss, in the speaker, I want to speak. Okay, come on, explain. Then they explain to me what is FDI and what is FII. I'm happy. Then there is a counter, there is an argument, there is a discussion. They talk everything about Indian economy and they talk about foreign direct investment and they talk about foreign institutional investors. So higher level thinking skill is behavior oriented. This is a skill which will let the students apply the concept that they are learning in their day-to-day life. Now, if you can bring in this achievement, that means your outcomes are perfect. You have to prepare an assessment. Online assessments are really challenging because you're not there. So I don't know with what amount of integrity. Let's trust our students, but God forbid, I'm just saying this, okay? In case our students are discussing the answers and submitting the same answers, what's going to happen to us? Everybody is going to get 10 on 10. 100 out of 100. This is not the result we want. We want the best student to get the best mark. So your questions, your preparation of your assessments have to be challenging. Again, complexity is the word I'm using, not difficulty. So a student should not have more time to call their friends and ask for answers, but the student should have very limited time to think and, apply the concept and understand the concept and speak about the concept, communicate with the concept, work in team with the concept. So this is the way you frame your outcomes. So the outcomes have to be framed in such a way that you can measure the outcomes. Measurable outcomes are very, very important because I can say after my class, everybody knows collaborative teaching learning strategy, but I'm not assessing anybody here. I'm not assessing. I'm not putting you under a test, or I'm not giving you a topic and I'm not asking you to prepare your objectives. Usually we do that, right? In every workshop, we tell you to bring your topic and then we say, okay, now prepare an outcome and now prepare an objective. So how is an outcome different from objective? Many people, do not know. Even me, when I joined as a teacher, I did not know the difference between what is an outcome and what is an objective. So sometimes I used to say objectives as outcome and outcomes as objectives, but it took for me 2-3 years to understand what I'm teaching. Okay, so what I intend to teach. and what I want to measure in my student. So I understood that these two are different concepts. One is purely with a faculty member and one is with my students. So what my faculty members, my beloved friends, gentlemen, ladies here, what we have to focus is both. You have to frame your objectives, and based on your objectives, you'll have to prepare your course materials. You're formulating your classrooms in such a way that you are going to bring out the desired learning outcome in your students. Measurable, essential, desirable learning outcomes will help you to know that your student has really understood what you have taught. So outcomes express higher level thinking skills when they are behavioral based, when they are interpersonal skills based. What is interpersonal skills? Again, higher order thinking. How does the student communicate with another student on a particular subject matter? Allow our students to speak, they will speak for, non-stop. You can't ask them to stop. Just let them just go out for a second out of your classroom and come back, and then you will see a beautiful classroom, people running around everywhere, talking, screaming, shouting, some people on top of the tables. Yeah, I have experienced all this. And sometimes, some of my students who work in schools, they used to say, Miss, if we turn our face to the board, some girls jump out of the window and run away. We have to run and catch them and bring them back to the classes. So you might have seen such an ambience, right? But here, what are you going to do in the online class? So allow them to talk on the topic. And then now you see their higher level thinking skills. They'll be able to integrate all the content and the material that you have given them and the information that they have gathered. They'll be able to put them together, and they will be able to do it as an activity and communicate with their friends, with their peer group. And that's what is interpersonal skills, and that's what is the communication skills that we want to achieve in our particular content. So the second point for today, focus. So what should we focus on? I told you we have to focus on the students' outcomes. We have to give them an experiential learning. Just not learning, understanding the concepts, but understanding and learning what is the feel of it. Basic experience when they learn a particular subject or a content. And you have to keep one more thing in your mind. When should they learn this and at what phase? For example, are the student in the freshman or first year or sophomore, the second year? Or should I bring in the concept, or should I allow them to explore? Should I give them the complexity of this particular topic, or allow them to explore it on their own and come back to me? So bring it within the curriculum or as an outside the curriculum. That is your extracurricular activities, your co-curricular activities. How are you going to bring in this focus into the taught, your student? So from whom? Only from you, yeah? Only from the faculty member. So whom, when, how? These are the key things which we are going to address in the forthcoming slides, okay? So when we have a planned class, when we have focus on our taught, our students, our classrooms will be really, really perfect. You can see our class in action. You can see our students into, good participation, enthusiastic participation from your students is possible. So as I told you, we are going to focus on the top 3. Because sometimes we forget that we have to put them on a higher level. We still think them, they are, young, they are after all our students. We don't treat them as our equals. Actually, today you are a professional, we are professional, and tomorrow they are going to be professionals too. They are going to be professionals. So why do we treat them like they are inferior to us? Try and say that let's explore this topic together. I'm sure your student will love you for that. A student will not think that you don't know the subject and that's why you are saying this. No, no. This is a new method. This is a new technique. Tell your student, I prepared for your class, dear, but I want to explore this topic with you. So let's explore it together. You will see them in action. They will take charge. They will say, hey, mom is giving us an opportunity today. Let's explore and prove that we are, capable. After all, they are our students and we should have faith in them. They may not know now, but eventually they will learn. So try to show to them that you are also willing to learn. Because once you tell them that you're willing to learn, your classroom is going to be a real happening place. They're going to come out with you and explore the topic, explore the concepts, give you additional theorems and additional, derivatives. For sure, I can vouch for this. I have tried it myself. I have told them, let's explore this, and then I see a better class. I see an action-oriented class. We always focus on, the basics, the remembering, which we think is the most important thing. Remembering is fine. For example, recalling, asking them to memorize is okay, but that's not the best. So from there, we move on to understanding. Sometimes we ask them, can you explain? Can you recognize? You tell them that this is the theory, this is the philosophy. Can you recognize? You ask them. Can you report? You allow them to, come out with the topic. You ask them to understand and interpret things. So when you can do that, you are moving one step ahead. From there, going for applying. So let your student operate. If it is an instrument, let him operate. If it is a theory, let him employ the theory. Let him illustrate the topic. Let them demonstrate their, understanding to you. So these are key things. So application, the third step. But always the last three are not higher order thinking. These are the basic things that we have to give to our students. But we have something bigger, something interesting, something that's essential. Make your student analyze. So how can your student analyze? Give him or her a financial report and ask your student to differentiate. Ask your student to criticize on a public report, on an article that has been published recently. Ask your student to compare one company's balance sheet with another company's balance sheet. Ask your student to apprise, evaluate, examine, and come out with their own understanding. So moving up into evaluating, so go into in-depth evaluation, how a student can justify or take a decision. Let him take a decision and let him tell you why she or he has decided, why they are, saying it. When they give you a statement, let them apprise, let them argue, let them stand up, let them understand, and then, come back to you with all the key points. So you can select and you can support them. You can select, they can give you many points. You can select and you can tell them that, this is how it is, okay, this is not okay. So take them through various processes of evaluation and then go to creating. So can the student create his own reports? Can he design? Can he assemble machinery on his own? Can he design a structural engineering student? Can he design something? An interior design student, can she or he work on the lighting, work on the environment? Can she work on ADC? Everything, yeah? So let them write, let them report, let them formulate. So this is higher order thinking. So what is that we have to do now? This is from the teacher's perspective. When I'm talking to you about Bloom's taxonomy, I'm talking to you about creating, evaluating, analyzing, which are higher order thinking. Let's focus on that. We have to make our student achieve these three things. Okay, so from this, what is the next thing that I'm going to talk to you about? I'm going to talk to you how you can question them. What kind of verbs can be used? You have different types of verbs that can be used, right? So what are the various types of verbs that you can use? So let's talk about, judging. Judging is a verb, which is very, very interesting. Judging, apprise, evaluate, rate, compare. So I'll put to you set of verbs that you can use to evaluate your students' understanding. Okay, what kind of activities can we give them? Okay, lecture. I know, I love to lecture. If you allow me, I will talk to you for 3 or 4 or 5 hours or the whole day. I know you will cry, but I can speak, all the teachers can speak. We would love to speak. That's why we are teachers. We would love to express. We would love to pour out whatever we know. We don't want to forget even one thing that we have studied. So we make our notes and then we give everything to our student. Honestly, if you allow me, if I can pass on the information by one touch, I will be touching all my students to pass on all that I know. Yeah. So we prefer loving. We prefer not, I wouldn't say loving. We are so sincere, we are so pious that we would love to lecture. But for evaluation, when we are talking about higher order level of thinking, lecture is not going to increase. So you have to use case studies. You have to use projects. You have to use exercises. You have to use antics. You have to use simulations. Give them a simulator. Let them work on a simulator of a stock exchange. Let them forecast the price of a share. Let them appraise. So allow them to work on cases. So this is how your classes should be. So if you are going to design your class, every class should have a different activity. Every class should have a different focus. So when you are focusing on evaluation skills, that is the top skills, the higher order thinking skills, you have to give them more case studies. And these activities that I'm suggesting are just few. You can add any number of activities to it. Use your creativity, right? Then coming back to synthesis, give them problem solving skills. Let them observe something and develop a plan. We always give them business plan. It's something, we are crazy about. The management faculty members, we love the word business plan. We give them competitions on business plans. And one more thing we love is the budgets. Before the annual budget is announced by the government, we have a pre-budget session, we have a post-budget session. Those are for synthesis. Yeah, allow them to work on simulated situations. Moving on to analysis, give them more of critical ingredients. Let them think, let them discuss, let them ask questions, give them tests. Even before teaching, give them tests so that you can analyze from where you have to start. Usually we used to do workshops like that, but for webinar we cannot do. So for workshops, if you see, what we used to do is we used to prepare a pre-workshop test, and then we go through the papers, then we know the standard and the level of the participants, and from there we start, because we don't want to waste time on giving them the fundamentals, and we don't want to start very high and then so that they lose out interest from the very beginning and then they leave. But here I have a different group here. I have various type of faculty members here, so I'm just starting from the basics, and I'm trying to go through in a slow phase. But if I know you, if I start with an exam, if I start with a test, if I ask you some questions, I'm sure, it is going to be at a very different level. So analysis. So I want you to go through like this, all the other, components. Application, what kind of activities? Comprehension, what kind of activities? Knowledge, what kind of activities? If you see, lecture is in knowledge. And if you see, 99% of our classes, I'm so sorry to say this, we keep talking. So I don't want to say anything, but now you know what you have to do. The next thing that I want to talk to you is something interesting. I'm not very sure whether we are following this in India, solo taxonomy. I know some of my friends in UK, they use solo taxonomy, student-based understanding, and how to increase the complexity of your classes, of your content. This is what I told you. Let's increase the complexity of your class. How are we going to do this? So solo taxonomy has 5 levels. We talked about the Bloom's taxonomy with 6 levels and solo taxonomy with 5 levels. I'm going to just talk to you a few minutes about solo taxonomy before talking about the teaching strategies for various teaching assessments and teaching techniques and teaching methods. So this is how we classify the solo taxonomy. You can see there are 5 phases. So you have the pre-structural, then you have the unistructural, where the students, this is the first level for the students, actually speaking. Okay, the pre-structural is so fundamental. So whatever the teacher says in the beginning, like giving the student some syllabus, briefing the student on the topic, that comes in the pre-structural. And then comes unistructural, where the student tries to find out, where he tries to label. Take it, for example, for a scientific course, the student is trying to explore this COVID vaccine. So what does he do? He tries to name it, he tries to identify what all can go into it, and then from there he goes to multi-structural, where he classifies this, he continues his research, he describes his research, and then he goes into rational, relational, where he brings an analysis, he applies it, he compares it with people, what others are and where they are and to what extent they have completed. They just go step by step, and then finally extended abstract, where he formulates and generates ideas and creates an hypothesis, designs his own research and constructs his research. He plans his research or her research, predicts what she is going to do, and produce what he is going to invent. So these are the 5 levels of solo taxonomy. So if you see, solo taxonomy itself is a separate topic. We can, if you get time, you can Google and you will see so many articles on solo taxonomy. It's a very interesting concept. So student-oriented concept. So each bar and the picture here has a reference and relevance. So moving on to the course teaching strategies and the assessments. So what type of assessments you can have? Because without checking our students, we cannot submit any report. If a student has to be checked, the teacher has to do something. That is assessment. Yeah. So the teacher first shares knowledge, gives them skill, and gives them competence. For convenience sake, I am dividing the 6 levels of our Bloom's taxonomy into 3 levels. I'm keeping, for knowledge, I'm keeping the first 2 levels. For skills, I'm keeping the next 2 levels. And for competence, I'm taking up the higher level thinking strategies. Okay, so how we can assess the students? What type of assessments are required? And what are the teaching strategies that we are going to follow? Okay, method is different from strategy. Teaching method is different from teaching strategies. So what are the teaching strategies for different levels of Bloom's taxonomy? So when I talk about the level 1 and level 2, I'm talking to you about inquiry-based instructions. I'm asking the students to understand the concept before coming to class. I'm allowing him to differentiate and visualize the class before she attends the class. I'm letting him and her to visualize the topic. So how am I going to assess their knowledge? I'm going to give them short questions, like 3-mark questions where they write like 10 words, 30 words, 50 words, and long questions where they write essays, concepts matching, and multiple choices. So these are very apt assessment methods for knowledge. Moving on to the next, skills. You have cooperative learning strategies, you have dialogues and discussions, group discussions. We always say group discussions, But I tell you, the teachers have to prepare for group discussions. Then you can, be a very good navigator for the group discussion. Sometimes I heard from one of my colleagues, I'm sorry to say that, I'm not addressing anybody in particular here, and it's not personal. 10 years back, I was working in a place, and there they said, if I'm not prepared for the class, I put them on a group discussion. I'm sorry. I'm sure the time has changed and nobody is doing that. Okay, so we also have to prepare a lot for dialogues and discussions. Then comes the self-learning using webs and IS facilities. Very important, using IS skills, IS facilities. Cooperative learning strategies. How are we going to? We discussed cooperative learning strategy in the beginning of today's session. I told you how you are going to communicate, how you are going to do independent learning, and how you are going to use the feedback that you receive. So this is important when it comes to skills, enhancing student skills. Then comes the problem set. Okay, in problem set, what are we going to discuss? We are going to talk about, like for example, give them 2-3 solutions and ask them to identify the right solution using cooperative learning strategy. Put them in teams and let them analyze. Let them do a case study. Let them do a poster presentation. Let them do a portfolio evaluation, or let them make you can panel up and you can ask oral examination. So it will be, a very good way of assessing your students' knowledge and skills. The third one is the competence of your student. So we are going to use collaborative learning and guided assignments. So paper presentations, poster presentations, research papers, articles, writing in journals, conference papers. So these are the competence. So what you have taught can be analyzed through these assessments. You can give them marks and they can do it. Yeah. So these are the course teaching strategies and course assessment methods. Right, how to make your class interesting. I know I did not do any of these activities with you today, but I know how to make your class interesting. So we talk about 3 E's here: energy, enthusiasm, and empathy. There are a lot of activities that you can conduct in your class. I told you, every class has to be unique. You have to teach, but teach using these things, these methods, these techniques. This will increase the energy and enthusiasm of the student, and it will improve their empathy also. So concept mapping is a technique that I want to talk to you about. Corners, fat and skinny questions, fishbones, jigsaw, know, want to know and learned, numbered head together, round table and round robin, question strategies, scammers, think, pair, share, timelines and sequence chart, and webbing. These are some of the very interesting games or brainstorming and activity that we can do in classes. So every day, in every class, you can introduce one of them so that you pull in more information from your students. And your classroom will be really, really, really interesting, and you will not know how time flies. It's going to be a perfect classroom. Right, finally, what is that you're going to perform? This is very important for all of us. What are we going to do? The 6 important C's in our classrooms. For our profession, I would say. What is that we have to perform? The 6 C's, if we perform, we are the best teachers. We can, pat and say, hey, you did a good job. So the first thing is free will. Choices. Give your students some choice. I used to do cafeteria visits often. Sometimes, like initially, when I came to Saudi Arabia, I did not know much about the students. So there was a big cafeteria. I know it is difficult for me to walk through in the cafeteria because of the various different types of food. And, I used to struggle a bit, but then I still used to go to the cafeteria to see how the students pick and choose their meal. I see that they always choose different things. Every day, every time they come, it's not the same food they order for. The same with us, right? We don't eat the same food. I love a food, but lifetime, if you ask me to eat the same food, I won't eat that. 2 days, 6 meal, the same meal, I'm going to say I'm going to throw up. Yeah? When we ask for choice, I'm sure our students also needs choices. I understood that we have to give them a free will. So let them choose what style of class they want on a particular day. We have to allow them to choose. I always say I dream about my class. I dream about my beautiful class where I'm not there near the board. I'm not standing in the middle of the classroom. I see a group of students with their laptops working. I see another group of students brainstorming a particular concept. I see in another corner of my classroom some students with their mobile phones. I see another corner of my classroom with few students listening to podcast, and one set of students calling me to the computer. They are in the laptop, they are working, and they are calling me and saying, "Ma'am, come, can you tell us how this Elliott waves works? This is the live session happening in the stock exchange. Can you prove us, ma'am? Can you tell us a theory and apply it here? Can you do year matches on this theory?" Now, this is a kind of classroom. You're not going to be yourself all over, but you're going to be there for each and every one of them when they needed you. So giving your students a choice. I know it is very difficult. If you are not going to plan very well, it's going to be very difficult. You will not finish your syllabus. And I know if you're not going to finish your syllabus, you know the consequences. I don't have to say that. So when you want to give choice to your students, you'll have to plan your syllabus very well. Give them choice, give them free will. This will help you to strengthen yourself on the subject matter, win the confidence of the student. You will not see them running. You will be seeing them more attentive. So let them have their own choices of what they want to do in your class. I know it's your class, but it's their class too. Let them have their space. Collaboration is the next thing. We are social creatures and we would like to collaborate. Do not isolate your students. Already they are isolated in post-COVID. It's the normalcy, the new normalcy. Everybody is aloof. All of us are alone. We don't see people. We don't meet people. We meet people only online. Now I don't have to wash my hands after talking to you. But yes, I have to wash my hands because I was touching my papers and mouse and the laptop. That's fine. But we are all social creatures. So put them in groups, allow them to work in groups. This is what Bloom's taxonomy is emphasizing on. Collaborative teaching strategies, wherein the students learn from their peer group, wherein the student learns from every individual who's working with them. Every peer group has their own strengths, their own weaknesses, their own concerns, their own ideology, and their own needs. So let them work, and when they need you, you will be there for them. And the next thing is IT. I don't have to say anything about information technology. We are talking today because we have IT. Thanks to the technology, communication is possible because of this. Moving on to the next one, we have critical thinking, which has to be improvised in the class through problem-solving techniques. Allow your students to discuss and analyze and solve issues. Give them the real-time scenarios. Put them on the company's issues. Let them come out. Let them do a SWOT. Let them tell us what is the problem of the company, how companies are going to survive, what kind of jobs they are going to get. Give them this SWOT. What is going to be your future? How are you going to get placed? I really don't know. I don't know what kind of businesses will flourish and what kind of businesses will not flourish. 5 months back, I saw a different scenario. I saw a different country altogether. Chains of restaurants, chains of shopping malls, chains of jewelry houses, chains of apparel, everything crowded every day. Maybe the first day of the week, I don't see many. But the remaining 6 days, I've always seen crowd everywhere. But today, I don't see anybody. All shops closed, everything closed, all businesses closed. They are saying it's changing, but what is happening is increase in COVID. As the principal rightly pointed out today before the session started, he said that the numbers are multiplying. So we don't know. Give them this as a situation. Let them analyze and come out and tell you where they're going to get placed and what kind of jobs they may have. Give them problem solving situations in classrooms. Allow them to use their creativity. You will be amazed. I'm telling you, take my word, you will be amazed. Their creativity is really, really high. They have unique creativity skills, each of them. So let them explore. Finally, the last C. The only C which is there for us so that we will always be remembered. We will always be thought about for. The sixth C of our profession, which is care. We have to practice care. Care for our students, care for their knowledge, care for their outcome, plan and show that you have a lot of care for them and concern for them. And this will take you miles. The mind is not a vessel that needs filling, but wood that needs igniting. We always say, come to me as an empty vessel. I'm sorry, don't say that again. We have a lot of wood and we have to ignite the fire. We have to make them crave for information and knowledge. They are not going to fill, but they are going to get ignited and they are going to go out and look for information. They are going to search knowledge. They are going to acquire skills. They are going to communicate to the rest of the world and work as a team. So that's the objective of today's session. So this is my future classroom. I dream my classroom like this with a lot of social distancing, and I'm not there in my class. My students are there busy doing their own things, and I'm just standing behind and looking at my students explore, learn, understand, communicate, and develop their skills and abilities. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your patient listening. And I'm sure as teachers, we look for more success. And success is sure when we work hard and when we work smart and we work non-stop. Perseverance is the best quality that a teacher should have. I close my talk with this and I'm open for question and answer now. Thank you all.
So, any questions from your side, participants? Participants, if you have any questions, you can unmute yourself or otherwise post it in chat box.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hi.
मैम से क्वेश्चन है सर, हम जो है कॉग्निटिव पार्ट पे हम ज्यादा क्यों फोकस कर रहे हैं? माइंड का जो कॉग्निटिव पार्ट है,
can you ask in English, please, if you don't mind?
Sir, my question is, sir, why we are focusing more on the cognitive domain than the other domains?
Cognitive and above. I'm not saying I'm not stopping with cognitive. I'm saying because we are teaching students knowledge and we are stopping there with lecture. So from there we have to move into cognitive because the students have to analyze. They have to evaluate and synthesize the concepts so that when they go out into the industry, they'll be able to handle the real issues. Because what we teach them, if we just teach them the definitions, if we just teach them the fundamental knowledge and we stop there, it's going to be incomplete for us. So as teachers, we have to improve their interpersonal skills, their communication skills, and the cognitive skills. So this is where I emphasize more on cognitive and above. I'm not even emphasizing on cognitive, but I'm emphasizing on cognitive and above because we have to prepare the student for the industry. That's the challenge. Teacher's job is more than teaching today. We have to train them, we have to facilitate them, and we have to groom them, and we have to make our student a complete person who can handle real-time issues, who can address issues in the organizations. So preparing the student for industry, that's why. Did I answer your question?
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for asking.
Dear participant, any queries? Please ask directly to Madam. So unmute your audio, then ask directly.
Looks like there's no question.
Yeah.
Same as our classrooms, huh?
Yeah, of course. Ma'am, I have one question.
Yes, please.
Yeah, actually, in your view, post-COVID, how far this ICT-based teaching and learning will be very much helpful, because majority of people will very much they will be very much interested in traditional kind of teaching learning.
Yes, yes. You know, thank you for the good question. Actually, Reuters have come out with the research, and they are saying most of the institutions, that is 90% of the institutions, are going to go online, and they're not even talking about blended teaching learning. So they are like purely into non-traditional online classes. So this is for management and other arts and social science courses. And for the science-based courses, where there is a lab and engineering programs, where there is a need for demonstration and lab, they are saying it will be like 80% of online and 20% of in campus. That is for the lab experiments and other things. So this is an on-13 group. They are worldwide known for their research reports. Now they have come out with this idea, and they're saying for the next 8 months, this is not going to be changing. And they're saying this is the new normalcy. So we have to learn to live with this. And one good thing is, good teacher cannot be replaced, because we keep updating. My podcast today may not be the same tomorrow, and it might not address the particular student. So a teacher cannot be replaced. So we don't have to worry about losing our job like other people. At least we are safe, because education has to be provided. So we are still there. But the thing is, we have to get ready. We have to equip ourselves for online teaching. So they're not even talking about blended, but they're talking about purely online teaching for social science courses. So colleges are planning to close for another 6 to 8 months, according to Reuters. And especially in Asia region, it's not going to function for the next 8 months. So until the proper vaccine is coming out, until they find out the medicine and they put an end to this COVID, I'm sure this is not going to stop. So maybe after the vaccine, the way it spreads and how it goes around, then these researchers might change. But as of now, get ready for online classes. So we have to follow all these strategies to keep our class active and live, and we should feel satisfied. At the end of the day, when your head touches the pillow, you have to sleep very peacefully, for which you have to work hard, and really it's something new that we are going to explore. So there are a lot of challenges, but nothing can stop the zeal of a real teacher. Whatever situation is, we are going to be the best. Did I answer your question, sir?
Yes. Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you for the question, sir.
Thank you, madam.
Can we?
Hello.
Sir?
Yes.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Vijaykumar sir?
Sir, okay, I'll conclude, sir.
Okay, sir.
Okay,
Thank you.
okay,
Thank you so much.
okay. Yeah. So sharing knowledge is an asset. So sharing mutually, there is a benefit for both learners and teachers. So it is a sustained asset, I can say.
Yes.
So I have to I am very much thankful to Dr. Abhirami Devi Sivakumar ma'am for her valuable time. So she very much interestedly she accepted our request. So I have to say, every time she updated, every time she is asking about when we have to start, what I have to do, like that. Even a kind of workshop also we can plan, but within this limited amount of time, madam clearly our guest, today's chief guest, she delivered the contemporary teaching learning practices, that is after post COVID 2019. So what are the possibilities we can deliver our thoughts to the learning community? It is very important. So in this aspect, I would like to thank from my heart to the chief guest for accepting this request. So even I would like to thank the principal, management principal, IQAC coordinator, and other IQAC members, Geetavani ma'am, and other IQAC members for associating as a team in internal quality assurance cell of SITAMS Autonomous Chittoor. I also would like to say my thanks to all the participants who are passionately learning so dedicatedly. They're spending their time, valuable time, 1.5 hour. So without this, it is not possible. So it's a great success. I can say thank to all the participants as well as the chief guest for this wonderful webinar. Thank you, one and all. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Have a good day.
It's a nice lecture. We have seen other aspects. That is other side of teaching learning. So at least new things we have learned for sure.
Thank you so much for saying that. Have a good day, sir. Thank you so
Yes,
much.
yes.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you, ma'am. Sir, can we end?
Just wait. Feedback filling.
Okay.
So dear participants, only 5 minutes to filling feedback, and they fill the exit from room. Vijay Bhaskar sir. Vijay Bhaskar sir.
So tell me, sir.
You stay, sir. Geetavani madam, you also stay.
Sir, tell me,
Hello.
sir.
So tell me.
Sir, you stay 5 minutes. You stay 5 minutes, sir.
Okay,
Thank you
okay,
so
sir.
much.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Ammo.
Now one questions came from YouTube.
I have seen YouTube also, sir.
Now only came.
Now only, yes.
After existing.